Applying for graduate schemes can be really stressful and it can cause people to act in the strangest ways. Today, I'm going to share the biggest mistakes I've seen people make applying for graduate schemes after university, and I'm sharing these stories so you can avoid making these same mistakes. These are real stories of my real friends making real huge mistakes they definitely could have avoided. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. The first story is about my good friend Jeff, who was applying for Waitrose graduate scheme. This was his top choice graduate scheme even before university. He had a part-time job at Waitrose that even at university he kept that part-time job in his hometown and traveled back and forth every weekend to keep his job at Waitrose. He did a food marketing management degree and he was doing absolutely everything right to secure himself this top choice graduate scheme at Waitrose. So we're in our final year. He's worked his whole university experience leading up to this. He's super excited and he starts applying for graduate schemes. And naturally, the first one he applies for is Waitrose. As part of the initial application, you have to take what is called a situational judgment test. Essentially, they give you a scenario with multiple choices and you have to pick how you would respond given that situation. Bear in mind, Jeff has worked for Waitrose for over 5 years. He's been a supervisor working on the shop floor. He knows how to act given these situations. And I'm convinced there was not a better candidate on the planet that year applying for schemes than Jeff. But he took the test and he got an instant confirmation whether he'd passed or failed. And Jeff had failed this test. And he let that failure stop him from getting his dream graduate scheme. He applied elsewhere and he has never worked for Waitrose since. Firstly, why did he not practice on the run up to his top choice? This is why I'm such an advocate for hedging your bets. I actually applied for Nestle firstly and I'd failed their numerical reasoning test. But in reality, I wasn't that excited about working for Nestle. I just applied to see what applying for a graduate scheme was like. And I used that knowledge to get my top choice graduate program. Secondly, these companies want you to succeed. They want the best candidates to apply for their scheme and they don't want good candidates to slip through the net. So just tell them you were having a bad day when you took the test and I promise you 9 times out of 10, they will reload that test for you. And thirdly, if this is your dream graduate program, just make another email and apply again. They want you to get through and they will not notice that it's the same candidate applying again. They get thousands of applicants. So do not let a silly test stop you getting a dream graduate scheme. One of my very good friends, Ron, was applying for Nestle's graduate scheme and he got to the assessment center and he knew he had to demonstrate certain skills and behaviors. But the reason I'm telling this story is there's ways to demonstrate behaviors and ways definitely not to. This assessment day started with an icebreaker exercise. They had to give 3 facts about themselves, one of which is a lie, and the rest of them had to guess which the lie was. This wasn't assessed, this was just a way to have a bit of fun, loosen up the room so the candidates are relaxed. But the assessors mentioned they had about 30 minutes for this icebreaker. So Ron, wrongly, used this as an opportunity to demonstrate his time management. He jumps up and said he's going to time the 30 minutes so they don't overrun. A bit of an awkward response later, they let him do his thing and he makes an alarm for 30 minutes on his phone and they start the icebreaker. 29 minutes goes by, they've got 2 candidates left to go and they are 100% going to let them candidates finish this activity. But 30 minutes goes by and Ron's alarm goes off. The assessors and the rest of the room stop what they're doing and look at him awkwardly. A few glances back and forth and he realizes right then this was not an opportunity to demonstrate his skills. So he awkwardly turns off his alarm, the rest of the room carries on with what they're doing and they finish up the assessment day. And he, Ron, did not get an offer for this scheme. In an assessment day, you definitely have to demonstrate certain skills and behaviors, but you've got to use a bit of common sense. When is an opportunity to demonstrate a skill and when isn't? And in this opportunity, it 100% was a better opportunity just to relax and have a little bit of fun before the assessment days start. Be authentic in these assessment days. It comes across so badly if you're trying to crowbar opportunities in to further your agenda. Yes, be your best self, but make sure you are still yourself at an assessment day. My final story is my favourite story, and it's about my good friend Tom, who applied for Tesco's graduate scheme and he got all the way to the assessment day. This is my favourite story because this mistake could have easily been avoided. He was a first-class chemistry graduate from a red brick uni. He had everything he needed to secure himself this graduate scheme. I spoke to him the night before just to give him a little bit of advice, and he went to the assessment centre and I'm confident he performed really strongly. But he got a call the next day and they rejected his application and they wasn't going to offer him a place on that graduate scheme. When he got feedback, they said he performed brilliantly throughout all the activities and on paper, he had everything they was looking for in a candidate. But there was one reason they couldn't give him an offer, and that was because it didn't look like he wanted a place on this graduate scheme and it looked like he didn't want to work for Tesco. Tesco is one of the biggest companies in the UK. It pays great and the graduate program is really good. But Tom missed out on getting an offer because it didn't look like he was bothered about working there. And this could have been avoided by cracking a few smiles and letting them know in the interview, hey, I'm enthusiastic about working for Tesco. And it's so much better to reject an offer from a company than to get rejected yourself, and this one could have easily been avoided. In an assessment centre, it's really easy to come across as a deer in headlights, but you really want to try and enjoy the process as much as possible. And the way you do that is practice as much as possible on the run-up, so you can bring your most authentic, relaxed self to that assessment day. I appreciate it's not easy, but just try and let them know you are enthusiastic about working for the company, because in Tom's case, this actually stopped him getting an offer and it was the final hurdle in him securing a really good graduate program for Tesco. I'm certainly no stranger for making mistakes, but this time I wanted to tell you some stories of other people so you can avoid making these mistakes. These were genuine stories, but not the genuine names. I switched out their names with Parks and Rec's characters just so they told me these stories in confidence and they can keep it a secret. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, comment below any stories you have, and subscribe to the channel for more grad recruitment content. Boom.